You'll stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. Before we go to the public comments, we do have some public hearings, and our clerk will fill us in on what they are.
Well, we can do the first public hearing, which is to hear any concerned citizens about the agreement between the town of Ticonderoga and the Ticonderoga Emergency Squad entering into a contract.
All right, we'll open that hearing. Are there any comments from the public? I see we have some members of the EMS team here.
You don't have any right now.
You're good to go?
Yep.
Here, answer questions if anybody has any.
Okay, very good, thank you. Question?
Aren't they asking for money from the town?
Exactly. That's what the contract is about.
Well, everybody sees everything different. They had a place here for 50, 60 years that was adequate. Then they built a huge, huge place and want the taxpayers to support it. Is that what's happening?
I don't know that that's the reason that they are here. There are several reasons that they came forward and presented to the board for asking for assistance, that they've been self-supporting for a long, long time. And obviously, over the course of those many years, costs and requirements, regulations have changed immensely.
I want to state that it's not that I'm down in your crew at all, trust me, I know you people. But I had to ride in that payload once. It should be eliminated from town, it's a disgrace. That truck rode harder than my 1-ton Ford diesel. I had to ride in that with appendicitis ready to burst, clear to Vermont. And I was not happy with it. It would sure make this one able to run better if we didn't have that here. And I know people are paying for that, and how much can they afford to hand out, you know?
Well, I think
I know they're a necessary thing, but my God, the size of the building and the expense of it, didn't they think of this before they built it?
they did, I'm sure.
Well, if that was thought out, they should be able to pay for it.
Like I-
Yeah.
Can I address some of this?
Sure.
When we looked into some of the issues with the ambulance squads, we also checked with surrounding communities.
Yeah.
We visited with Crown Point, who just spent $50,000 to contract with Lamoille to take care of their ambulance. We also found out that we are required to have an ambulance service in this community as a town. We found out that the liability under their insurance was about $14,600 is our responsibility as a town. So that right there was easy enough to justify that amount, and then $20,000 wasn't, you know, we saw where that was, we saw what other communities were doing, we saw what they were doing, and that's what brought us to this decision. A good part of that would be our responsibility no matter what, that we haven't been paying up to this point. So,
Thank you.
yes.
Wayne, there's also some questions around the staffing in terms of the loading. They did quite a presentation there last year before budget, the town emergency squad did, in terms of the loading, the calls, the call responses per member. This problem is widespread. The town of Wilmington, the town of Newcomb, the town of Jay have gone to full-time paid EMTs on the day shift because of people being away working and not being able to answer calls and that kind of thing. So like Dave was saying, though, technically by law we're responsible for their insurance anyway, and we felt it was a good faith measure to meet them halfway.
Real hard with regulations, how we operate, and able to get new people. Now, my son in high school, one of his buddies, they went all through the process and did it. Now they're out and they're working, they're sitting there listening to the call for help, and they call, oh, you don't make meetings, you can't do it.
Well, the
So that's where
county,
you got the pavement sitting off to the side.
but the county is looking at this right now in terms of incentivizing volunteer service. They're looking at it, the problem is widespread, it isn't localized to just High, everybody throughout the county is having the same trouble,
Yeah.
so.
Any, Pat?
Just to answer your question and concern about the building and paying for it and stuff, it really isn't to pay for the building, we're paying for the building. The cost of operating and stuff is just astronomical, and what we get reimbursed from the insurances doesn't cover the cost of what we're making. We get paid very little from Medicaid, Fidelis, all those insurances that the majority of our patients are. And we did need a new building. We've outgrown the other building. There's no place to do any training. Since we've been in a new place, we've hosted many trainings with other agencies around the area, and it's brought the agencies closer together, working together and stuff. We don't have to customize the ambulances anymore to make them fit in the building. Before, we had to pull them into the ambulance building because they wouldn't fit any other way. So, everything's gotten bigger. Same in the fire service. Trucks have gotten bigger, ambulances have gotten bigger. Everything's gotten bigger and expanded, so.
In my experience in Kingston, New York, my neighbor run an ambulance service, and some of the guys I worked with him and for him. He was a very wealthy man. He was making good money. So I didn't see where you needed to compete with that, because you can't get enough volunteers and stuff because of all these little ditches you have to do.
It's hard to get volunteers because of all the requirements that the state, OSHA, and everybody else.
Yeah, that's killing us. State mandated stuff, not just there, everywhere. Yeah.
That's very true. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Major?
Yeah, I really don't have a comment on the money issue. I'd just like to say and support the service itself. My family's made use of it a couple of times. The people that came to help my family were terrific. They're very kind, and I've got to tell you, we really appreciate the service. So I would hate to see any diminishment of that service available.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any more comments from the board? Questions? If not, we'll call the hearing to a close. The next hearing, what's your pleasure?
So your next public hearing is about submitting an application for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's Community Development Block Grant Program. It's administered by the New York State Office of Community Renewal. They have announced the availability of approximately $41 million in New York State Community Development Block Grant funding for 2014 annual competitive round. Funding limits for towns are $400,000 for housing or public facility applications and $600,000 for public infrastructure, water and sewer only. And we're here just to talk about the grant, not specifically what it's for. That we're going to apply for one.
All right, is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment as to whether the town should or shouldn't apply for this grant?
Would the grant be for the town to spend, or is these grants and/or for private enterprise to utilize in some way? I'm not familiar with what.
These grants are usually administered by Pride. Sharon Reynolds is here, she could
Well,
probably
I'm
expand.
not familiar if there's a water and sewer grant going in, but that's a different chunk of money. This CDBG that we're talking about here is 2013 leftover money from the councils that I will write on behalf of the town to take care of two buildings, this community building and the automatic door and the senior center and the armory. These are two projects that qualify. This is a new money that is just, hopefully, I've already talked to the New York State folks that are running this program, and those are the two projects that qualify. So that is what I'll be writing. That's a June 30th deadline. Another grant, not a CDBG, but a consolidated funding award for the application is through the council, the North Country Regional Council. I realize that I'm like talking acronyms here, I apologize for that. But that is going to be to apply for funds to go to the construction plans for the proposed reconstruction of the 18th century sawmill. We are administering a grant currently for the design and research of the sawmill. This is another application to continue trying to move that project forward. So those are the two grants I will be writing on behalf of the town.
The reason why I asked is because my organization is looking to possibly create 10 low-income housing apartments downtown area on the second and third floors of buildings. So I don't know if this is any availability of funds for that from this particular grant. Doesn't sound like it.
Not from this particular grant. This grant it's leftover funds that the state is in a hurry to get rid of for whatever reason. And it's for public buildings
Okay.
more than private
And
buildings.
it's pretty specific. Anything that helps and aids in handicap access, that's why the automatic
Yeah.
doors.
Uh-huh.
We're looking at
Seniors.
handicap parking spots, anything like that, the seniors helping in that, that's what this grant is targeting. That's what the money's for, and that's what we're applying it for in these two buildings, those type of things.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, is Pride giving out these money for like the meat plant? Are they in charge of that, this downtown grants?
What was it? For what?
Like the meat plant that was built.
That funding came from the North Country Regional Economic Development Council. Those are funds that reapply to this. That has nothing to do with, we get funding through that source, but no, we don't give out grants.
That has nothing to do with this one.
Yeah, well, I noticed what looks like a conflict of interest in that, that's why the question comes up.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
They built a meat plant, this one, we're just discussing that, right?
No, we aren't discussing the meat plant at all. We're discussing a
No,
grant.
the grants. is what I'm
The
trying to-
grant that we're discussing. We have a number of grants going on in Ticonderoga right now, a number of grant programs. The grant program that we're discussing right now
Yeah.
is to address a new back door for this building and a new handicap door for the armory.
Well, that's not
And-
specifically what it's addressing.
I can't find anywhere to ask questions about this other grant money.
This public hearing is not for
Yeah.
any
Okay,
specific
thank you.
project in the town.
Those
This
are,
is just for a public hearing to explain the process of a CDBG grant process, regardless of what the application is.
point well taken. This particular grant, this particular type of grant is for municipal buildings. The projects that we've just talked about are projects that we've been able to identify that we think this grant and the projects would mesh together and could become a reality. The issue is to whether we want to go forward with the application.
I think you should.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? There being none, we'll call this hearing to close. We've got one to go.
Well, you still have continuing your CO law is still open.
The CO law is still open, but would council suggest that we table that hearing for the next foreseeable future? Because we're actually trying to design a new law, other than the one that has been presented. The one that has been presented does not fit Ticonderoga, and we're going to get one that does, no matter how long it takes. That being the case, we'll call the public hearings to a close. Is there any reason we can't vote on the two at the present time before we go through to the public comment period? Could
Well,
we
you're only
just,
voting on one for the ambulance contract.
Yeah.
The other one was just an announcement that we are going to see.
okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
So you can definitely do
Okay.
the ambulance.
So we can have a resolution to accept and sign the contract between the town of Ticonderoga and Ticonderoga EMS?
I move that.
I'll second it.
Moved
So
by-
it's not specified in here what the total amount to specify the amount.
It's for 20, okay, thank you. We have a motion, a second. Any discussion?
I'm sorry.
Fred? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Now, is there anyone that would like to bring up some other information or other items to the board? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Patty Hogan, and I would like to talk about platform tennis.
I bet you would.
Yes, I would. I could stand or sit, it doesn't make much of a difference. Don't want to block the views. So I come to platform tennis. I'm a tennis and platform tennis professional by training, and I grew up playing tennis in every sport because I grew up in a huge family in New Jersey, and if we played outside, we didn't have to do chores. So I became an athlete, committed to the outdoors. I had so many people that along the way helped me out, and so I came up here, fell in love with Sandy Morehouse. We married, I fell in love with the community. Constantly inspired by so many people, every one of you here who put your time into this, making this town better, and brainstorming a lot. I remember going to Sharon's office a couple years ago, talking with Chatty, everybody who will listen to me, mostly Dave, Scott Herberg, Dave Kay. I said, why don't we bring platform tennis to this community? I want to do it free for kids. I want to do programming through Silver Bay. And Dave remembers when I called him up and said, Dave, here's what we're doing. And he's like, all right, well, what's platform tennis? So it is a sport that is a year-round sport. It will be able to be played from 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the evening, every single day of the year. It is a low-cost sport to play, and it will be supported by membership money, free for kids. I will do fundraisers. I've gotten very good at asking people for money to support our effort, and received, thanks to Silver Bay, Paul and Jane Gray, we raised the money. The national organization is called the American Platform Tennis Association. I applied for a grant, started working on that 2 years ago. That came through. Got the money last weekend, perfect timing. We are looking to break ground on Monday or Tuesday for the court part of it, and we are building 2 courts, aluminum structures, heaters underneath, for to be able to play in all weather and a non-slip type of surface. And then the second piece of it is an amazing piece, thanks to people like Jim, people like Dave, mostly Dave Giuliano, who for 8 or 9 years, I think the first time I ever was up here in Ticonderoga, Sandy wanted to impress me, and he took me to Dave's restaurant for dinner. And I said to Dave, the first time I ever met him, we need paddle courts out on that property of yours. And he said, talk to me. So we've been kind of throwing it around for a long time, and thanks to Dave and Beth, they have accommodated our request at a minimal cost, and we are able to put this project together thanks to a community build where we have received incredible donations of materials from people in this community and of time. And Scott Herberg, who is my volunteer God in this town, stepped up to the plate, and he was the right guy to say, Scott, I've got this vision, will you help me? And Scott has always said, I'll do anything. And so he is in charge of a community build, and we will extend the deck over by the side of the restaurant, and we will build what's called a warming hut. And the warming hut will be known as Rick's Place in honor of our friend Rick Bartlett Jr., who lost his battle a couple months ago. And the Bartletts are a huge part of my effort to watch them. I was so inspired as a family, and Rick was this amazing guy, and the qualities he had in meeting him a couple times and just seeing how he led his life. I thought the greatest thing we could ever give this community was an opportunity to learn a little bit about Rick and learn some of those qualities. So we kind of got it all together, and we break ground next Tuesday.
Excellent. Excellent. Glad to hear it.
Thank you.
I can't speak quite as highly for some of the company you can, but that's all right.
How much money do you expect to make out of this?
The money that we will make will be how many people I can walk up the street and say, Dave, you're in. Monday night football. Let's go. You're coming over. Ladies' night. We will offer the opportunity for kids always to be free. We'll sell memberships to people who are able. I am uniquely qualified with my background to raise money for different things, whether it's going to be events here, well, I will bring outside people to this community, or I will have an annual tournament also in New Jersey where people will be supportive of this effort. And I've run a couple volunteer type events like this and been very successful. So we will take it from there. We will never come to the town for a dime. And we have formed an LLC, thanks to TRA, Dave Uorano, Jane Ingray, and we have committed 100% of our profits from our effort to youth programs in Ticonderoga. And Dave has been my idol talking about, I mean, he has guided me every step of the way and said, this is what we need to do. And if he didn't have an answer to a question, I called Dave K, my Daves. And then I called Jim, and he called me, and we figured it all out. So it's going to be low cost, 100% of the profits will go toward youth programs in this community.
When do you think you'll be up and running?
Courts will take 3 weeks to complete. Our community build, we hope to start really soon, and that's volunteer time. And we will have some people from this community who will be behind that, Scott Huber, Doug Ross, Rick Bartlett, Sherry Burley. They're all going to be behind this, plus lots of Rick Jr.'s friends from Hudson Falls, where he went to school. So we're hoping platform tennis, July 1st.
That'd be something.
And it's a year-round sport, perfect for this community.
Very good.
And we are working with Silver Bay, have an opportunity, I'm going to hit every campground, every hotel to make this where they have an opportunity to be exposed to platform tennis. And I have an opportunity to raise money so that we have profits for the kids.
The schools.
And the schools. And John McDonald, thank you, that was an oversight. John and will help facilitate this entire thing through the school program. And the other part of it is we will also, I've had the opportunity with Jay Wells, with Dave, with George Mackey. We're going to tie an effort in on the other side of this with Dave Kay, where we will be involved with College for Every Students mentoring program, and Andrea and Steve Boyce locally are working behind the scenes to continue that effort and to maybe re-energize it a little bit, and we're going to be a part of that, and we hope to provide opportunities between Eddie's platform tennis, driving range, and country club for kids in this community, where they have mentoring opportunities and learn many skills, not just about platform tennis.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to talk.
Thanks for the information. It sounds exciting. Can't wait until you get started.
We'll see you out there. And I'll talk to you about a membership rate.
That's good. Yeah.
Drinking beer is required. I love this thing that Patty's doing. You know, Patty talks about the other people that have donated time and money. She's donated a big chunk of money into this project. And she's really a motivating force behind it. You know, talking to Patty is like hanging on to the fastest ski boat in the world, hoping it don't fall off. But you know, she's really developed something here that's unique. You know, first of all, we've received several substantial gifts to TRA, which are dedicated towards this project. So these monies go directly to help build the operation. Any profits, any and all profits that come out of this, the people who put the money into it don't get a dime out of it. Those monies come back to TRA for similar types of projects, or the growth of that particular one project in the future. It's something that really should feed on itself. I'm hopeful that, you know, somewhere down the road, the kids really get involved in it, and tournaments are set up, and You have to know that Patty, she asked what she should say before talking, and I said, well, talk about the fact that you're a national champion, and she is. She is a national paddle tennis champion. She knows this sport inside and out, and she truly does love this town. So I really give all the credit to Patty on this.
Again, thank you very much. Anyone else have anything they'd like to bring before the board? Mr. Sherry?
Bill, I've given you 4 months to get up and running and get used to things at these meetings. I think you've done a great job so far.
Thank you.
So I'm pretty impressed with you being a novice and doing so well.
Got a good board to work with.
However, this is going to be a little controversial, but I feel that it has to be asked. Some questions have to be asked. But here's my statement. I've been a Ticonderoga Republican committee member for 4+ years, and as a group, we are charged with recruiting, endorsing, and supporting Republican candidates only. I believe, and our committee believes, that independent candidate at the time, Chatty Van Wert, has attained her position under precarious circumstances and at the expense of one of her own Republican candidates. I personally challenged Van Wert's residency, and at first the Essex County Republican Commissioner was of the mind to cancel her registration. But they did decide, the Essex County Board of Elections did decide, they did send me a letter, that they concluded that Van Wert could run for the council seat under state election law, citing the case of Ferguson versus McNabb. Without getting into all that, but it's my personal opinion. I believe that the case does not apply to her. I have obtained a sheriff's investigative report in which Under Sheriff Michael Badger made an entirely different determination as to Van Wert's legal residence. I'd like to share this report with the board tonight, and also an email which states Chatty either ignored or refused to answer the challenge during the 14-day period to do so. I will end my speech with 2 questions. Chatty, do you live in Ticonderoga, New York, and can you provide proof to this town board and the general public right here, right now? Let's put the issue to rest. If you're not a legal resident of Ticonderoga, then I request that you vacate your position immediately, and I do thank the board for the time given.
You're welcome. I'd like to point out that Chatty is not under any obligation to respond to that. That's up to her entirely. The way this board is going to look at it, and I'm going to try and speak for the board, is that this is a decision that is going to be made by the Board of Elections. It is not going to be made here. It should not be brought here. It's on our plate now, that's fine, but it's not going to be acted on or discussed in public in any way, shape, or manner by this board.
I did not think it would, Bill, but I wanted to bring it up.
It's just completely inappropriate. John, you should know that.
I really want to say something.
I'd rather you didn't.
Okay.
If you care to respond, fine. If you don't care to respond, that's fine too.
I've responded to everything that has been asked of me. Before I started my campaign, before I even decided to run, I went to the Board of Elections and sat and talked with the then Commissioner, Chooch Desham, and I explained my situation, and he said I had every right to run, and he encouraged me to run. I have since spoken with Judge Viscardi, who says the same thing. I have responded to everything that has been asked of me. And as far as you're accusing me of not responding to something within 14 days, I don't even know what that is. But I've got letters saying that it's okay for me to be doing what I'm doing. I'm working very hard for this town. I'm a property owner. I own 2 properties. I pay almost $10,000 in property tax and water and sewer, which is a lot more money than what I make doing this job. And you're telling me I shouldn't be doing this job? Who's more interested in this town? I've been in this town for 25 years. I own businesses here. I raised my kids here. I don't know what you want from me. And this is all politically motivated. Now you're getting me going. I'd like to read something which I just happened to bring with me tonight. It's all about politics, John. That's all it's about. I've done everything I possibly could to answer your harassments. After the Board of Elections sent me a letter saying, it was on October 31st, finally saying in writing that I could run. On Saturday, November 2nd, just a few days before the elections, there's this email that came by. It's in big red letters, blue letters, green letters, from John Sharkey to Republicans in this town. My fellow Americans, I urge you not, in bigger letters underlined in red, to vote for a Town board member candidate named Chatty Van Wert. Big letters again, all caps. In my estimation, she is a liberal, progressive socialist, whatever that means. I've never run for office for anything. How could you even, I don't even know if you know what that means, John.
Yes, I do.
And, well, I don't know what it means. I don't know how you could know that that's what I am. Not that that has anything to do with my being eligible to sit at this table. Let me finish this email. Take that to mean she's an Obama zombie. I'm a registered independent. I'm not a registered Democrat. Who will advocate for failed green jobs, green energy, green whatever. She is a member of the Revitalization Alliance who have already created problems with business and rezoning and animosity among town folk. Yeah, they're just a bunch of troublemakers, that's all. This group was rebuked by citizens and voted down by the town board, reluctantly, I might add. The group wasn't rebuked or voted down. The zoning was. This TRA group derided the citizens and loathed their grassroots actions. Give me a break. We need to start at the local level to ensure people of her ilk do not tamper with our small town government. Bigger letters, vote for anyone but Van Wert. Please pass the word to any patriotic American you can. John P. Sharkey. It's all political garbage and crap, and I wish you'd just get on with it.
Excuse me. The lady has the floor.
You asked me to respond. That's my response. You've been trying to take me to the ethics board. They said, luckily, after I agreed to go there, they said you don't have to come because this is out of our jurisdiction. You continue, the sheriff came to visit Bill again. You're harassing me. You're just harassing me. I don't know what else to say.
Can I have a rebuttal to that, Bill?
No, you had your opportunity. Chatty's had hers. As far as this chair is concerned, that's the end of it in this room. That's it. If you have anything else you want to bring up, I suggest you direct it to the County Board of Elections where it belongs. We're not going to air it here.
Or higher.
Whatever floats your boat, now. I mean, the law's been explained. I'm not going to get into it. Okay? But it is not for this arena at all. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to bring before the board and public here? Okay, there'll be another opportunity at the end of the meeting, and we'll move to our resolutions. I would entertain a motion to accept or correct the minutes of the regular and special meetings that were last held.
I would so move.
Moved by Mr. Taylor. We have a second?
Second.
Second by Chatty. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Approval of the water and sewer reports. Have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You have an attachment for the supervisor's monthly financial report. We can have a motion for approval of that.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Mr. Huntston. Do we have a second?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you, Mr. Leon. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Entertain a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
We got enough money.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Did you want to bring up that?
I will, I was going to, didn't want to bring it up at the attorney's report. As far as that bill, we have a voucher in the abstract that's number 6542 in the amount of $102.15 that goes to replace a mailbox. The mailboxes are in the right of way, and it isn't only that one, there's been a number of them, and I'm just wondering about if we need to be doing this by law, or, I mean, it's good, it's the right thing to do, given if we got unlimited resources, but our resources are limited, and I'm just wondering about if we're statutorily okay in doing it.
I will discuss it with you.
Okay, that's all.
Any other discussion on bills? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We have a resolution for a budget transfer of $4,195 from A1989.400 to A1910.400. This is in regards to an invoice from our insurance company for 3 changes to our policy that weren't in the original budget.
And the changes, was one of them at the airport? Was there one of them in terms of the tie downs?
The
Or the additional
airport
insurance?
one will be reimbursed by grant.
Okay.
That's the one that's from the airport.
But
correct?
that's.
Yes, but I think that's one of them. I think another one is the change in liability on the new dump truck.
Okay.
Because that wasn't included, we didn't know what the figure was going to be. And I'm trying to think what the other one was, but it escapes me right now.
I would move that we approve the budget transfer.
We have a motion? Second? Second by Fred. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Transfer.
That's the one from the,
Yeah.
from the airport. We have a resolution to hire the following lifeguards for the summer program provisionally until the background checks are completed. If anyone doesn't, obviously, if anyone doesn't pass their background check, they will not be hired. Joseph W. Gagne, Roger C. Klein, Nathan J. Lenhart, Lexi S. Moore, Abigail A. Carpenter, and Cole Gator. Gator? Gator. Any discussion? We have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
By Fred, second by Chatty. Any discussion?
In the terms of the rate, I mean, there's a prescribed rate already
Yes.
in
Yes,
existence.
according to the
Yes.
contract.
And would any one of these be deemed senior lifeguard?
Yeah, that would be
Yes.
Joe.
Joe
would be
first.
Joe would be
Joe
the
is
senior.
first, yeah. And Roger Klein is the second one.
Roger Klein would be the
Do
second.
you have enough lifeguards?
Pardon?
Is that the full amount of lifeguards that you'll need, or will you need that?
6.
more?
That's what we had last year.
That's what they had last year.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving right along, reports of committees. Start with Public Works, which is my bailiwick. The first thing I want to bring up is we received an email request from Interlakes Health. They have not been as timely as they would like with their water and sewer payments for the last quarter, and they expect to be making those payments in the very near future, but they would like us to waive the late payment penalties. This is a very unusual request, but given the importance of their institution and recognizing the problems and issues that they've been going through of late, I would certainly request that be put in the form of a motion and that we allow them to make their payment without the late fees included.
I think that's an excellent idea. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Fred,
I'll second that.
and second by Chatty. Any discussion?
No, it's not. Thank you.
How much are we talking about? It's late fees on $14,000?
Something like that, yeah.
So it'd be $1,400, something like that would be
I believe so.
I don't have any problem. I think it's...
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm sure they'll be most appreciative of that. We've also, in the Water and Sewer Committee, we had Jody Alcott with us at our last meeting, and she has identified some grant funds that may or may not be available to the town, but we are going to try and secure a grant that would affect the IP Lakeshore Drive Water District. Those folks are under a significant burden from the debt involved with forming that district. I don't know that we can use this to address the debt, but we may be able to use it for some other purposes that would help to reduce the obligation of the Lakeshore Water District. I wanted you to be aware of that. We'll find out where it goes in the future. If it appears that we're qualified, it will come back to the board. They are also working with a new grant application for the Street Road Water District, where we've had all the issues with the main breakage and whatnot, and hopefully that will come to fruition. The GIGP Stream Daylighting Grant is it's becoming more complex as we go along. We have been awarded the initial grant. We are working to complete the paperwork involved with the EFC on that portion of the project, but it appears that project may grow significantly because there's a lot of other types of grants and low-interest funding that are available, and if we leverage it properly, we can get a good share of our speedies permit work into this scenario, into this program. We're under obligation to the DEC by virtue of the speedies permit, which allows us to operate our wastewater plant, and they want us to pull the stormwater out. Originally, we designed a combined sanitary storm sewer system that runs through our plant. That's what the state told us to do. Now the state's telling us that we don't want a combined system. We want the stormwater out of the plant, which makes sense, so that we aren't paying the cost of treating stormwater. The issue is not so much will Ticonderoga do it. It's not that whether we want to or not, it's how do we pay for it. And we'll do whatever they tell us to do as long as they come up with the funding. That's where the rub comes, and that's where we're negotiating very significantly on the town's behalf. And it gets interesting, but we're working on it. Mr. Fuller has been all over it this week, and we'll stay that way. The water supply project, we decided earlier in the year that we were going to use the Lake George source is a much more primary source in our system, and we would change the type of filtering that we were going to use to accomplish that, and do a much more economical type of filtering. We believed this was going to take what's called a pilot program, which is an initial setup where you bring in temporary filters, set them up, operate them, test the water, make sure everything is up to code, and prove the worth of the system that you want to design. And we made that request, and we've since, in the last 2 weeks, we sent them a letter, the Department of Health a letter. We made some discoveries, and we're requesting a waiver from that, which will save us, the cost of that pilot program would be probably $40,000, $50,000 minimum. And we've requested a waiver from that because we've discovered the village of Lake George uses exactly the same system that we want to use. They've been using it for a period of years. We haven't read any articles about black plague or anything going around Lake George Village, so we're thinking that the system works. It's proven to work, and we don't need to spend the money on that pilot program. It's already been done by the village of Lake George. And that's where we stand with that. We're waiting for an answer back from Department of Health to see if we can go forward with that. There's been issues with the financing for the water project, but it appears that those have been resolved with the funding agency for the state at the same time.
The thing is that we're going to have to be able to have a project, a defined project to be submitted to EFC, or to the Department of Health by June 20th, right?
Well, that's true, provided the Department of Health acts to say yay or nay, right, as far as a filtering system.
Right.
If they don't come, we're waiting on that answer. We have the proposal is ready to go. It's merely waiting for that answer.
But the delay is involving revitalizing the filter plant as opposed to using wells and gooseneck. What's sticking in their craw is the use of the filter plant, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, not necessarily.
The only thing is, my concern is we miss our deadlines, and then that $2.7 million bond anticipation note we did to develop the wells. And again, with the idea that it would be rolled into a zero-interest project at some point this year, that's my only concern.
Well, I would think it would put an awful pile of egg on the face of the Department of Health if we missed that deadline because of their inaction.
Yeah, and I don't dispute that, but my concern is to be the debt service on $2.7 million that would be taken as a general charge by everybody in the town if we don't hit our metrics. I just...
Well, I suppose that's a concern, but I don't see how you can penalize someone when you caused the issue.
But even if they didn't invoke a penalty, it would be, we're going to have to service that debt in 2015, principal and interest. This year we budgeted just debt service, just the interest for 14. But next year we're going to have to make a principal payment on that loan if it's not rolled into a zero interest vehicle of some kind.
If. That's a major if. That's a major if. If for whatever reason that doesn't happen, that could still be the scenario.
I understand.
Okay. But I don't think we could go on the basis of ifs. I think we've got to deal with the facts as we progress down the road.
Is there an approval? Is there an approval that would keep us on track? I mean, is there any component of this that could be approved and keep us on track to meet our obligations under the consent orders, I guess?
I believe so, yes.
We're heading that way now.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're well underway to that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We have a draft sewer ordinance. We're going to have a workshop on that in the coming 10 days, and should have that ready to present to the board at the next meeting for adoption. We've had ups and downs in our operational systems, but everything is running as smooth as it can during, this is high water period with all the runoff and everything, and we seem to be getting through it in pretty good order. There's going to be a meeting this week on the John Street Sewer Stormwater Separation Project. There's some items that need to be addressed with the contractor. There's some concerns from the property residents, and they will be addressed. We've had several out-of-district applications, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It brings more users into the districts, be they water or sewer, and we're now in much better shape with the applications and whatnot we have to get these people into the system and up and running. We have a certified safety professional coming to review the PRV pit on the Chilson Main. Should be done in the next 10 or 12 days to address some concerns that FEMA has about modifying the scope of the work that was done there. There's a situation with the old pit that was a completely unsafe work area according to everybody's specifications except FEMA. FEMA wants certain areas addressed that nobody is finding very logical, and we're bringing this person in to write a report that should put those issues to rest once and for all. Our next meeting is going to be May 28th, Wednesday at 8:30 in the morning, and hopefully you'll all come and join us.
May 28th, you said?
Yes. Yes.
It's a Wednesday.
Yeah, it was moved. It's usually on a Tuesday, but that's Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day is a holiday. The state moved the county moved all their meetings to Tuesday, so we pulled those two. We pulled the water, sewer, and financial to Wednesday.
Highway as well.
Highways wants to be everything.
No, highway stayed at Tuesday.
Highway state?
Yes. Just to confuse you.
I get a doctor's appointment Wednesday, 3:30 or lunch.
Well, we'll be done by then, I'm sure.
Never know.
Or Tanya will set off a bomb.
I'm not worried about that committee, it's not mine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, we're safe. No hand grenades.
You can start whenever you want.
I'm not here.
Operation efficiency. Chatty.
We had our last meeting on April 23rd, and it had been suggested at a prior meeting that we schedule one of our operations efficiency meetings in the evening to invite public input. So there was a press release about the meeting, inviting the public to attend, as well as several weekly community announcements in the Times of Tie that ran, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. We're really hoping to get some people from the general public to attend and give their input as to how they think the town could be more efficient. Unfortunately, no one showed up. So our committee met, and we reviewed some of the things that we've accomplished and are continuing to work on. The town staffing chart was completed, and Amy and Carla did a good job in doing all the revisions to the employee handbook and the drafts with the updates to the controlled substance and alcohol testing policy. Those will be voting on. So that was part of what we had recommended in prior meetings. Another thing that we'll be doing is working on job descriptions. There's a lot of employees, a lot of positions that don't have job descriptions. The next meeting will be scheduled for Thursday, May 22nd at 1 o'clock in the community building meeting room. Any questions?
Thank you.
Comments?
Buildings, grounds, parks, recreation, and anything else we can think of.
No, we don't do that. Cool. Let me make sure my computer doesn't go off. We met on the 22nd, myself and Chatty, Fred Huntsman was there, Bill Goldback, Rich Holman.
Holmberg.
Did you change your name?
Not yet.
Sorry, I apologize. Tanya, I'm not going to say your last name. Sharon Reynolds, Joyce, and Jerry Cleveland. Albert Rosnick and Joe Gallardo were also there. We visited about the lights on the falls, and they're planned to be erected on or about the 15th of May. Joyce Cooper and John Bartlett have been working very hard with their organizations and a lot of people to make this happen. Just another thing about volunteers, that's really what makes a lot of stuff in this town happen, big time. We were talking about mold abatement at the Heritage Museum, which will also include some asbestos removal there in the basement. Bids are being finalized to proceed with this work, so we did have that out to bid, and that did come back. Alfondria has expedited the bid specs for removal of the Armory fuel tank. We are checking with the possibility of internal tanks. This will allow for 3 handicap parking spots by the kitchen with a lift for handicapped folks, and that's part of the grant that Sharon was talking about for the building it definitely focused on any type of disabled to make places easier to get into, so, in here. The Little League Park has put in a proposal for repair of the fencing and backstop for Field 1. The yellow perimeter top of the fencing required by our insurance company for Field 2 and 3 has been purchased. We went through the bidding process for that, and it's going to be installed by the parents of the Little League players, which is really a big help for us. We appreciate that. Benches have been ordered for the beach and other town parks. Joyce and Jerry have worked with Rich to make sure the other equipment for the beach, the chairs and all that good stuff are ready to go. Mike Parent will have the prisoners do some additional work to help get the beach in shape. Bridget Simpson is still waiting for us to give her the go-ahead to teach swim and exercise lessons at the beach. Do you know that at all? She wants to have classes up there. She wants to have exercise classes, be a paid program in return. When our youth go up there, she will give them swim lessons. She will work with our youth for free, and she has to be able to do that at the beach. We thought as a committee, it'd be a great asset for the beach, people at the beach, the people who want to use the program. We need to know if that is okay.
I believe there was discussion at the time that there would need to be insurances in place.
Yes.
I haven't seen any insurance certificates at this point in time. I asked the clerk about them, and she's not received them either. And it can't happen without the insurance.
Okay. Is that where we are?
I mean, there's no prohibition against somebody doing something on town property that they make a profit. You guys have 4th of July festivities and things every year, and vendors come in and they make a profit. So there's sometimes a misbelief that you can't make a profit, but it would be no different with use of facilities.
That's not the issue.
You gotta have the insurance, you gotta have use of facilities, we need the indemnification. Those are the things that we want in case something happens.
Okay.
Yes.
So what kinds of limits are we looking for insurance?
1 and 3. Minimum 1 and 3.
1 and 3?
With the town that's listed as additional insured.
Primary, there's language that we've got it informed.
Yeah.
She come here and talked about that. Didn't she say she had her
Primary
insurance?
additional insured without.
She has not submitted anything.
We just need to see it.
I'll move forward with this with Bridget, and I guess I missed this part of it. I understand it now, so I'll be able to talk to Bridget and have her make this available to the town so this can be done. I appreciate that, thank you.
But unfortunately, the reality is that's where you find the stumbling block.
It's expensive.
Because insurance is not cheap.
No.
And I understand that, I get it, but otherwise it's on our insurance. And our insurance company may not like that.
So, I'm going brief with the report. There is a 2-page document attached to this report. It's out on the web too, that has a lot of things that we're working on in this community, so if you want to know what else Buildings and Ground is working on, there's about 25 things on that report, so please, if you have any questions on anything, call Tanya. Be happy to help you. So, our next meeting will be May 13th at 10 a.m. right here. Thank you. Sir.
I had someone try and negotiate with our town clerk over some shades for the supervisor's office.
Shades for the supervisor's office?
Shades, I have white wispy curtains that really aren't quite what I would like to see on the windows in there. And I thought we had a deal made, but, you know, it just didn't pan out, so.
It'll have to be put in the form of a voucher, but I find that office fairly shady right now. I'm sorry, I misspoke there. I think it has nice shade right there. I love it. Oh, man, you're like a straight man. Thank you.
I threw it out there, I mean, that's, you know, you get fed more than that gentle, you gotta take advantage.
Yeah, we can do that, Bill. I think
Appreciate that, thank you.
Do you want me to put it on the list?
Yeah, put it on the list, 26.
What month?
Thank you.
Welcome. Economic development, Chatty.
Okay, we continue to work on the Community Economic Development Strategy document, and at our last meeting discussed the need for the document and what it was actually, what the purpose of it was. The big thing that this document does for us, it's not a new plan, but it takes our comprehensive plan that was developed in 2006, and it takes input from our other member organizations such as the Chamber and Pride, International Paper, Interlakes Health, the Fort, TMSP, as to what, 8 years later, what everyone sees the current priorities being and how they fit into the comprehensive plan. The other thing that it does is it makes projects out of these plans that will have completion dates and people or organizations that are responsible for the projects. So it really is a tool for keeping us all working on the same things, on the same priority. We first have to agree on the priorities. Then after we've identified the priorities, we work on those same priorities together. It's a motivational tool and it's an accountability tool. At the next meeting, which is it's May 15th, we'll be reviewing everybody's input and deciding on the focus and priorities for a short-term, medium-term, and long-term. And the next meeting is the 14th, May 15th at 2 o'clock here. Questions about that?
Thank you. Airport.
Just a quick summary on the airport. This year's project was the fuel farm. Went through the bid process. Someone was awarded that bid, and the FAA had not released the money. We got a 30-day extension from the person who bid it, and they agreed to, which is good. We didn't have to go through the process again. The FAA says they're going to release the money, but they haven't yet again. So we might be actually extending it again. So right now we're just kind of waiting to see where that is, and once that comes through, then that project will start. So that's basically what's going on at the airport right now.
Now, is there a new planning document for the airport? I saw that there was an invoice for that this month.
There is a 20-year plan for that airport that keeps getting updated. And as the airport grows, it gets revised. So yes, there is a 20-year plan for the airport. We're looking at what will happen next. If you don't spend $250,000 a year, then that money will stop coming to this airport and go to other airports. So we try to find things that will work at this airport. This is not a grant, this is a fund, okay? When you buy an airplane ticket, so much of that money goes into a fund, okay? The FAA is sitting on $4 billion. What they do with that money is they try to improve airports that they feel are important. Ours is strategic because it sits between Albany, Plattsburgh, Burlington. If an aircraft had to come down in an emergency, it's one of the few airports they could land at. So they're putting money into this airport as a safety net. That's why our airport is receiving this fund money. So as long as we can use it, we will continue to get it. There is some matching money to it. We usually can take that out in services. If we level the ground, if we help paving, if we help move stuff, we can use like services to pay most of the matching fund. It's usually 2 to 5% of whatever the project is, so it's a fairly good deal for the community. So, what were you going to ask, Tony?
I don't remember ever awarding that bid. The last I remember, we got a letter from Shoemaker saying that he didn't provide all the documents, and then I know he has since provided the
Yes.
documents.
Yes.
I don't believe we ever technically awarded that.
We did, and I'll get you the information. That bid's been awarded and extended, and it looks like it might be extended again. If they'll do it, if they don't, then 3 days. So,
Feels like a resolution.
Yeah, I don't remember ever having a resolution brought for sure we were that bid.
yeah. Okay, I'll find out.
Well, I can look in a minute, but
Okay.
I don't remember.
So the airport is an important part of economic development. That's why I asked, and I don't know if you have a copy of that. I'd like
It's
to,
in Tanya's office.
okay,
We keep it here at the town because it's a huge document.
is it?
Yes,
Okay.
it's huge.
It's when you have some time on your hands.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I wanted to have something from the airport in this updated
Yes.
list of strategies, so.
The guy on the airport committee didn't, he was doing one-word responses. Can you give me more? Yes. I know, I was, yeah, okay. That was me.
I know. That guy.
My
All right,
fault.
thank you. No, it would be important to have something from there. So.
Yeah. I'll try to make your next meeting,
All right, thank you.
if it's not nighttime.
It's not.
Okay.
Anything further for Dave? Highway Department, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Bill. Yes, we had our meeting on April 29th at 12 noon with myself, Councilman Hunston, Mike Parent, Carly Ezzo, Carly Vigliotti, John Deming, and Dave was in attendance. Others present were Chatty Van Wert, John Bartlett, and Dave Uliano. We did hear a presentation from John Bartlett about a grade 9 through 12 student give back to the community. As it stands right now, there's going to be 40 to 50 students participating in cleanup projects in the downtown area along with this, and they're looking for some support from the town highway department. This is going to happen on Friday, May the 16th. The Saturday, May 17th is Community Cleanup Day. And also John is requesting the line painting be done prior to that Friday, May 16th, 2014. Mike also spoke of possibly getting International Paper to donate their water truck to assist in doing a wash down on the main street. That's typically what they've done in years past. They've used a fire truck. And again, that has some issues around that. So they thought that maybe they could use the water truck that they use to wet down the roads and the landfill up there, and that would do the same thing. I just did a recap of the expense report, or the expenses for the repair budget, and I just wanted everyone to be aware that we've spent 60% of our repair budget through the first 3 months of the year. Just to let everyone know, the grade all is in the repair shop waiting for a part. The mowing tractors are ready for the season and operational, and the sweeper has been repaired and has been working. The radio work has been done by Wells Communication. We had some issues with radios that weren't going to be compatible with the new county communication system, and that has been remedied. They are going to continue to look for some handheld units that will be able to be used in the field by crews on the ground. We've also been told that the Canadian government has rejected our radio application for a frequency dedicated to the highway department based on potential interference with their radio systems within so many miles of the border. It's a federal deal where they have comments. They're able to comment on the application, and anyway, our application was declined. The paving bid for the town highway to subcontract out the road paving for 2014 has been advertised and is going to be in the paper, will be in the paper soon if it hasn't been already. There was notes made on the state roads on Wicker Street, especially at the Maple Fields intersection, and the word used was disgraceful by the highway superintendent and some of the people in attendance, and he asked us if there was some way we could lobby or something to try to get some extra help with getting this repaired, getting these roads repaired, because they are really bad. So at any rate, I told him I'd bring that back to the board. Mike had received quotes from Adirondack Concrete, and Will call and confirm his numbers. I mean, they were outrageous, the numbers we saw, the unit price per yard installed. I mean, it was off the chart, so we kind of suspected maybe a typo. Again, I spoke about the earth cleanup day, and Mr. Morris and his class from the Ticonderoga High School collected 1,911 pounds of garbage on Friday, April 11th, 2014, and the committee would like to commend them and offer their thanks. We do want to do a resolution to surplus T3, which is a 1997 Ford N8F dump truck, and T33, which is a 1997 Ford F350 dump truck. The highway superintendent wanted to declare them surplus, and I would offer that as a resolution.
Are you supposed to do a tow behind the brake?
Pardon me?
Are you supposed to do a tow behind?
Is that what the Carla had sent me, some additional? Yes, you're right. And also a tow behind your crate to be added to the list. They declared surplus.
We have a resolution, we have a second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
These are trucks he doesn't need to replace?
They're beyond repair, is what I was told. They're corroded to really badly.
Is he looking to replace these trucks with new ones, you know?
No.
Okay.
Not this time.
He's kind of in a holding pattern in terms of what he wants to do with his equipment, money, as it stands right now. That's what he told us.
So when you declare them surplus, can you sell them for scrap or
Yes,
anything, or
yes.
what happens?
Yeah, I would suggest we put them out for bid with a rider to accept or reject any and all. And if we get a bid that's more than scrap value, take it. If we don't get scrap value, reject them and sell them for scrap.
So usually I do a spring, a spring surplus, and I'm still accumulating that
Okay.
with this.
Well, we don't have to
If you
put
want to do
them
these
up.
separately, you can absolutely do them, because I'm
But
almost...
don't we have to do a separate request for proposal for scrap metal? I think we got into a deal one other time where they just sold it arm's length to East Side or something,
Yeah, but
years past.
Cash in hand
Yes,
for those guys.
yeah. But I'm saying that'll come down the road. I mean, it's not.
but if you don't get a good bid for them, then you can reject the bids on those trucks and then decide to do that.
And you can do it at the same time. There's nothing that
It's
says you
the wording.
can't send those scrap companies the notice at the same time. They can send it a bid. We don't care.
They can bid, I don't care, that'd probably be the,
Smart plan.
bid for scrap value or a bid for use.
Right. Right.
And then that might create a little more competition.
Okay.
I usually have the list filed by May. I don't have it.
Yeah, well, we don't have to do it tomorrow.
But
Thank you.
that is one comment I would throw out there. I know it's a pain, but you should.
Monday
It's gotta be bank
Monday or
order.
Tuesday would be fine.
Money order or bank certified check.
Okay, money order and bank certified.
Okay. I don't want the town getting held by them.
I will add that to my resolution.
Don't, you guys, yeah. Well, all we gotta do is declare them as surplus and we can let
Yeah.
our clerk
Deal with the logistics of it.
deal with the logistics.
And then I'll bring that to you.
The main thing is to get the resolution done so we can declare them surplus
I
and
got
move
you.
on to the next item.
All right.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
We did, just went over the equipment budget, noting that there's $100,000 that has not yet been spent. We did talk about the discussion about the skid steer versus a bombardier for sidewalks, and they had some pretty poignant opinions about the skid steer.
That's fine.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
That's fine.
I did go on and talk about the regional salt shed for the area, and I had talked with the broker, one of the delivery guys that delivered salt, and that he said his employer acts as a broker and would be interested in entertaining an account like I described. You know, initially, Cargill was our major salt supplier, and we were told that they aren't looking for any new customers, which, you know.
We're also considering a new building.
A new building,
Yeah.
right. But my idea would be, we have a way to service the account without going to Cargill. This broker would deal with this. I have his name and number, I'll show you later.
My bigger concern is where's the building coming from?
Right. No,
Would the savings in buying it ahead of time, would that help pay for the building?
it's a concept, Channing. We thought, we're spending roughly $300,000 a year on salt, and we're thinking about trying to do it in the summer and buy our salt in the summer off-peak price, maybe, and again, we were thinking maybe a 10% discount by buying it cheaper during the summer. Which case, I mean, 10%, a building like we built for the sand pile up there cost $60,000. It's one of those, you know, the dome with the vinyl cover over it. So, I mean, it wouldn't take long if you could save 10% on your salt bill to pay
How much is the salt bill?
$300,000, roughly.
So you're going to save $30,000 a year?
It's just hypothetical at this point, Bill. Them aren't hard numbers. It's just wishful thinking at this point. But again, it's a way to try to save money and not end up putting sand on our village streets when salt becomes scarce in the middle of winter. You know, and that's what happened last year. We pay a premium and again, handle the sand half a dozen times, run it through our sewer plant, burn our bearings, polish our impellers on our pumps, you know, and then truck it to Franklin County and dispose of it in the landfill. You know, that would be the alternative.
I mean, it sounds like a good situation.
Yeah, and we're going to look at it, continue to work on it, but I did bring it up. I did ask Mike for an estimate on how much additional it would be to use salt in the former village exclusively, and he's promised me he's going to get that for me. I did bring up the use of the seasonal on-call truck operators that aren't being used, and that didn't go anywhere either. Discussed prioritizing lists and efficiency for all the town projects, water, sewer, and again, joint projects that we can work efficiently on. John Deming did bring up the extra CHIPS monies available for 2014 in the amount of $16,000 for Ticonderoga. The Sagamore turnaround is still in progress on Sagamore Drive. There is talk of removal of the upper dam on the Lachute River, and there's an ad hoc committee that's working with them on that concept right now with Alba Poors and some other people are working on that. Cornell has a local road bid information that's available, which we talked about before. There's some staffing issues and pre-work that was done that we couldn't necessarily do this year. Dave Woods did brought in a quote from Fluor for a potential highway garage repair in the amount of $128,797. Farliezo did add that the proposed repairs to the highway garage do not include any ventilation or floor drain work. Fred Hudson brought up the solar panel grants that might be available and some keeping our roads safe initiatives. Fred did talk about the transfer station, and you want to touch on that, Fred?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, Fred had said that he discussed the new contract with Earth Waste Systems and other options that are being looked into for paper and electronics, and I know that Fred and Supervisor Grinnell did obtain an addendum to that contract where we're going to get an additional 12% per year as revenue off the scrap metal collected in that bin at the transfer station, which is good. It's a big help. They did talk about health insurance costs for the workers. They mentioned the Highway Superintendent Association meeting in Elizabethtown that they were going to plan on attending the following day. And the next highway committee meeting is May 27th, 2014 at 12 p.m. Is that the correct, yeah, that's the correct meeting. And I do have to have a resolution. We need a budget adjustment in light of the T28 damages. That's the 2007 Western Star. And I would move that we increase the account number DA2680 and in the amount of 5,000, or let me see, $5,759.81. That's the revenue. And then the contractual DA 5134.400 in the same amount. I don't know for that. That's just basically to acknowledge the insurance recovery that we had on the accident up on the vineyard. We got some additional insurance money come in. We adjust the budget to cover it. There's bills in the abstract to take care of the proceeds.
Any questions?
Somebody's got a second?
Oh, I'm sorry. We need a second.
I'll second.
And put them to sleep.
Any questions?
This is highway money being moved around?
It's insurance money that came in. So we're adjusting the revenue side, the 2680 is the revenue side. And then
That was is it the tarp or something like that?
It's just a lot.
it's the truck that they tipped over up on the vineyard in the ice storm.
And that was, this damage wasn't accounted for initially, they found it later.
Right, and it was initial, once they got it and got into it. Yeah, and the insurance company went good for it, so.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done?
Done, that's it.
There we go.
Can I ask one question? Does the state pay for salt? Doesn't the state give you salt for the?
The state pays us an amount, a contractual amount per lane mile. It's a negotiated rate. It's, we voted on it and we accepted the contract quite a while ago, and it's sometimes for extended periods, for multiple years. But we did that a while ago, so we get basically what they pay us. And the logic in doing the state roads is that we have to drive across the state roads to do our own roads. So we can leave the plow down and put a little salt or sand on and get paid for it driving to our own roads. That's always been the rationale for doing the state roads. Because I've heard other highway superintendents that said they dropped them, they didn't do them. It wasn't in the town's advantage to try to continue to do them.
Mm-hmm.
So the state isn't using our salt when they're maintaining our roads?
No, they pay us that. They pay us revenue to deal with their state roads. So many miles, I'm not sure quite how many miles it is, but we've been doing it for years, But it is what it is.
Okay, Human Services and Youth and Seniors, Mr. Huntsman.
Yes. The meeting was called to order by President Jan Putnam, and I'd like a moment of silence. She passed, so. Thank you very much. With the salute of the flag of our country, there were 16 members present. Guests were Darlene, O-C-C-H-I-P-I-N-T-I.
Alphabet.
Yeah, okay. Police Chief Mark Johns, Town Council Chatty Van Wert, and Fred Hunston Sr. Old Business, Ann Dahlbeck announced the Senior Supper Club is canceled for the summer. Will resume in October. There are 2 or 3 organizations serving meals each week through the summer. New business, TCC membership was renewed. Membership was renewed. Activity report. Yoga Bear invited seniors to visit the campground in North Hudson, June 25th. There will be a steak dinner. Cost for the dinner is $35. The Masons are serving a roast pork supper April 25th. That's gone by. 4:30 to 6 p.m. for $10. Want to form a bowling team for the summer? It's $10 for 3 games and $1 for shoes. AARP class will be held on Wednesday, April 23rd from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., cost $20. If you are a member, bring a bagged lunch. They will provide coffee, tea, juice, and desserts. The proposed trip list for 2014 will be out later this month. I mentioned the town board is exploring the possibility of making the bus available for Saturday run to the farmers market. June Curtis is the next month's guest speaker and will explain about the farmers market. And that is if we get enough seniors that are interested and want it. We will have to make some changes and whatnot, possibly leave out a day during the week if that comes about, or whatever the board decides. Chatty Van Wert spoke about the Street Fest scheduled for July 26th. Montcalm Street will be closed from the Laundry to the Glens Falls Bank from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. There will be vendors and with food and etc. The fest is from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Guest speaker Chief Mark Johns reminded the seniors of the drug take-back program April 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The importance of getting these drugs out of your homes, for there has been an increase in burglaries seeking drugs, not cash. There has been 3 local deaths due to overdose this year. That's the seniors. The youth meeting was called to order by President, sorry. Yeah, senior moment, okay. Present was Marge Halbert, Lynn Sawyer, Chatty Van Wert, and Fred Hunston Sr. Discussion, International Paper's previous grant. Marge is going to send me a list of expenditures from International Paper's previous grant. Discussed putting the basketball hoop outside for the kids in the summer. Decided it was not feasible. Elks donate money for DJs for the youth dance. Grades 2 through 5 from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. with snacks, drinks. Marge wants one more trip to the fun spot for the youth program. Short meeting closed at 6 p.m. Next youth meeting is May 12th, 2014 at 5 p.m. The next meeting on the seniors is May 14th, I'm sorry, 2014 at 1 p.m.
May 21st it is.
May 21st? Really? Okay.
Any questions?
I don't see it there.
Ann just told you that's when it was, so that's when it is. May 21st.
It's not on my schedule,
I
yeah.
guess I'll change it. I don't know it either.
It's 14, my schedule says the 14th.
My time is just saying the same thing, but Van says it's...
Okay. Okay.
That's at 1 o'clock, yeah?
Okay. Any other questions? Public safety, Mr. Iuliano.
Oh, hi Supervisor. Okay. We met on the 28th, the last Monday of the month, that particular month. Myself, Fred, Commissioner Margaret Wallman, Bill Hall, Chief Mark Johns, Ross Kelly, Dave Woods, Calvin Cross. Mr. Bartlett came as a guest. Code enforcement, which would be Bill Ball, spoke about numerous problems with littering, and the police department was helping them serve orders of remedy and citations if necessary to try to get some of this cleaned up. Extensive discussion on the CO law. It's got a lot of us pretty interesting. we have finally decided to put a committee together, get all these laws, and rework probably our local laws, rather than design a new law. We have a lot of this on the books already as local laws, and we're looking to just tweak them a little to make them work. Is that what we're doing? That's where we last left it, so.
And that's not my understanding.
You doing a whole new CO law
Yeah.
still? These guys are killing me. They're killing me. Okay, I think you're doing a CO law.
God, I hope so.
That's what we're doing.
I don't want to see Matt explode.
We actually have a committee together that's trying to filter through this, because we're taking a lot of input from the town, okay? We got a lot of people come in, a lot of interest, a lot of issues. Bill Ball having enough staff to do this, and we're working on that also. That's not in here, but we definitely have some people who want to come in and work with Bill, and we're going through the interview process.
13th.
Yeah, the 13th, and we're gonna get some help in there for him. We're also looking at finally getting a secretary back in that office, because Wayne said we definitely got enough money, so.
I have West Ave has one. We could have it here tomorrow if you want.
We had, when we did interviews for the police, and that's coming up, we had some great people that came in and interviewed for these positions to help with staffing, so we had some real good candidates come forward, so we were looking, these are part-time positions, there's no benefits involved, they're $10 an hour. If we can do it local and pay somebody here who wants the job, we're gonna try to keep it here if we can.
But they're all pensionable,
Yeah, well, yes, you're right,
even as part-time.
you're right.
But what we're going to do is cut the county employees back
Yeah.
so that we can afford.
Yeah, those county employees.
You know, one more.
We're getting off track, I apologize.
We can't do the issue, I understand Mr. Taylor's concern completely.
Yes.
Okay, these were positions that we have had for a long period of time because we can't get the job done without having the people involved. We've got piles of garbage and trash and burned out buildings and crap all over town. And it looks like hell. And we're working diligently to clean it up, but we can't do it with half the tools and half the people we need. And it is going to get done.
There's a lot of paperwork involved when you do these things, and
There's
Bill's
a-
having to do it all. He's having to go out there, generate the paperwork, come back, go out again,
Yeah.
generate the paperwork, come back, and that's just this.
There's no efficiency to what we're trying to do.
And I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is there are alternatives to get the paperwork done without having a benefit eligible position employed by the town. West Ave, town of Plattsburgh. We went through this last year, but I took quite a beating on it, actually. I went and got quotes.
Couple of years.
We had 3
Part-timers?
part-timers. The town of Plattsburgh Codes Office uses this person. The woman lives in Westport. $18 an hour, arm's length transaction, no. And again, no section 75. If you get someone that isn't performing, you don't have no, you just tell them, send me somebody else.
What's the difference between $10 an hour with retirement and $18 an hour without?
Because if you bring a person, even a part-time clerk, if they work here as a part-time clerk for a certain length of time, they acquire section 75 civil service protection, which case you can't get rid of them for non-performance without a very specific procedure, a trial, produce witnesses, hearing officer, all that. A temporary employment agency, if you didn't like the way the girl was performing, the person was performing, you said, send me somebody else. But I'm not going there, I'm not advocating we do that, I'm just saying that we had talked about it before.
Okay, I think, okay, I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate your concerns.
It's not a concern, I'm just telling you that I just hope that
Well,
there's a lot of new spending being added. Is there that position in your budget for codes?
This position was never taken out of this budget.
Okay, so it's there?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And I realize what you're saying, but if I can give a local person a job, I'm sorry, that's where it's going, you know? I mean,
That's fine.
and there's quite a few people came in for these part-time jobs, and the local people, that were good people, you know?
I don't dispute it, Dave. In an ideal world, I'd give everybody everything, you know?
You know.
I mean, in an ideal,
But
we're
we're
not,
gonna do
I don't expect to give them anything.
No.
I expect them to earn their money and get the job done.
That department can generate revenue.
And
That's the one department that can generate.
Absolutely.
revenue. Building permits, if he gets out with building permits and all that, he can generate revenue. But he's gotta get out
if we can
with it.
take burned out buildings and get them cleaned up and gone
And sell the property.
and sell that property, or the owner can sell that property and generate a new house, that's substantial.
So do you want to place an ad for a clerk position?
Not at this time.
No.
Okay.
We're gonna finish getting him help.
We're
Process
gonna
we're
get,
doing now and
we're
then.
gonna get the inspector's position.
One step. Thank you. One step. Okay, the police. They have been busy, but we're going to switch gears on this and just, Mark has been going through a roller coaster. I don't know if you folks know it, but Warren County is actively pursuing trained officers, and they're going to all these departments like ours. And two of our officers have recently resigned and went over to Warren County, Officer LaFrance, Officer LaValley. Put a big hole in our department. They're still trying to pull people from our department, so he's been scrambling to find new personnel, both part-time and full-time. The trick is to try to get a lateral move, which is what Warrensburg did. Try to get somebody trained, because it's quite expensive to send an officer to the academy, train them. Warrensburg doesn't do this anymore. They find it easier to let towns like Ticonderoga train them and then steal them after they spent the 50 grand. So we're working on this. We're trying to figure this out. We're trying to maybe put some criteria in place. Hopefully that'll keep these officers a little longer if we pay to train them. We're working on it. But in the meantime, he's got a heck of a staffing hole that he's working with. So his officers have been great, he's been great, and they're moving through it. But we have had some calls on a nursery school over there on the Portage and found out that the school seems to be operating okay. The parking issue was handled. There was a parking issue there, and hopefully we'll get that situation calmed down. Patrolman Quisnell went to certified school for a resource officer. There is money available for a resource officer to help us with the school, so there's special training involved with that when you're working with students. We're looking at all 4 schools, okay? 3 schools in St. Mary's, and possibly if the college wants to get involved, so, you know, that'll be a good help for us and the schools. He did report the resignation of the 2 officers. We just talked about that. I'm just kind of winging through this, folks. The department did offer, okay, I'm still winging it. I went through it. That's cool.
You must be done.
Huh?
You must be done.
No, we did have to find a part-time person in there for records. We did go out and a lot of qualified people came in. We did offer, and she took the position, Courtney Kraft. Okay, she'll be working with us in Mark's office as the records officer there. So that position was filled. Okay, that's where we saw a lot of really good qualified people come in. They wanted part-time work in this town to live locally. So anyway, a lot going on in the police department, in and outside of the community, so Mark's doing a great job. There's been a lot going on, and we appreciate his help in all this, so. Any questions on any of this? Seriously. Guys, ladies? That's it for me.
Library and cable TV.
Okay.
Mr. Tipp.
Yeah, we did have a meeting. We haven't met since last month's board meeting. We did meet with them April 10th at the library board, and there wasn't nothing more to report, as I know. I did run through their bills, and there wasn't nothing looked out of the ordinary or anything. They're pretty much on track with their magazine subscriptions and their book procurement and whatnot. Those girls do a great job up there. I do have an email here from Time Warner Cable dated May 7, 2014, in terms of talks about some stations that are going to be dropped from their lineup. WFNY New York, WRNN, WFFF, standard definition and high definition. I think that's Fox 44, isn't it?
It's Fox.
Okay.
It's all, well,
WUTR, SD, and HD, WVNY, standard definition and high definition, GOL TV, I don't have a clue what that is. Same thing. Jewelry TV Network, NHL Network, NHL Center Ice, Outdoor Channel, and RFD TV. It goes on and says how they negotiate from time to time and have to make certain channels changes based on negotiations. Negotiations are ongoing. They did cite some Vivid and Vivid On Demand that were going to be added in April, which people are probably well aware by now. Encore West HD, Encore Action HD, Encore Black and HD. Encore Suspension HD will be added April 23rd, 2014, just so people are aware that those are in the digital tier. Encore Cinema West will be dropped on or about April 23. Old news. Star Cinema, they added some additional offerings in April. One thing that people need to really be aware of, that there will be a Showtime free preview June 27th through the 29th, and it's available to all digital subscribers and may contain PG-13, TV-14, TVMA, and R-rated programs. To find out how to block this preview, for more parental control, visit TimeWarnerCable.com or call 800-892-2253. Fox Sports 2 will migrate to the Variety Pass on or about July 1, 2014. That's all I had as far as cable.
Excuse me.
Sure. Sure, yeah. I'll do it right now.
Didn't write them down?
I'll do it.
Oh, you do?
I'll forward those, well, at the same time I forward them to Wayne, I'll forward them to you. That way they can be on the website and everybody can read them.
Oh, okay. I was just going to put on the record file.
Insurance committee.
Yes, we did have a meeting on, we did see a presentation from Interactive Health. The man's name is Don Zimmerman on April the 30th, 14th. Chatty was there, a number of people from the bargaining units. Basically, it amounts to an additional benefit that we've added to our insurance offering here at the town. Basically, it has a free screening component to it. The gentleman was telling us that there's based on benefits provided by the, I hate to say it, Obamacare, most people aren't using it. They aren't utilizing these benefits statistically, like a very small percentage. So Excellus Blue Cross has contracted with this Interactive Health to do these screenings of their participating employee groups. And they found that they've been able to find many critical health issues with a very minor screening. And basically, it's a blood test, which includes 5 panels. They test for, they check your blood pressure systolic, your blood pressure diastolic, LDL cholesterol, your glucose. They're testing for metabolic syndrome, your triglyceride level, and then an optional questionnaire question as to tobacco use. It is at no cost to the town. The program is governed by the HIPAA rules, and there's been no breach in confidentiality. They've been doing it for 21 years. Every person that takes this test will be given a score. 0 to 20 is you're in the lowest risk category. 20 or above, they give you a score and a coach to try to get you into a better health situation. I mean, the gentleman that did the presentation had a real high blood pressure situation, which he was on meds for, which he was able to correct by virtue of just exercise alone. So again, it's a win-win-win. The test will take about 10 minutes, and it'll be performed by a company called LabCorp out of Glens Falls. They have 2 to 3 percentage points. They tested 350,000 people last year, and 2 to 3% of those had a urgent health issue that they did not know about. They were able to get these people lined up. They send an emergency fax to their physician, and if there's nothing really wrong, you get a written report within 10 days at your home. Again, everything is all considered confidential. There are some health coaches. They are all master's degrees or higher, and they will work with you over the phone, and they're based out of Chicago. What else did we have? I think that's pretty much it. They can't kick anybody off or raise our rates because of the findings of this thing. And like I said, Excellus selected the criteria. Spouses and children 19 years of age or older are eligible to participate. One thing we did understand or did find out that there's been some issues with people burning their deductible for preventative screenings. Okay, and this gentleman was able to tell us that if our people go to the doctor for preventative screens and then their labs are coded, it's called the CPT code, is coded for preventative, it will be covered under the, it won't burn their deductibles up. You know, they won't have the copay, it will be covered in full under the terms of the health care reform. So anyway, it's a very worthwhile meeting, and we do have 29 people that have signed up, and they will come here and do the blood draws on a Saturday. It won't encroach on work time, and I think it's good.
Any questions? Any questions?
Pretty thick. How thick is it? How deep is it getting?
My feet are stuck on the floor.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Last but not least is contract negotiations. We have finally heard from the Sewer and Water Department, and our first negotiation session is the 30th, I believe. One other item under negotiations is with the personnel shortage in the police department. Chief Johns and the commissioners got together and we drew up a memorandum of understanding between the department and the town in regards to the police contract, where the 8-hour day has been changed to a 12-hour day. They're working an extended shift to try and cover the gaps in a reasonable manner that the staff and the chief have been working with, being 2 men short. And it was a very cooperative move by the staff, and it's appreciated by the town. And Chief Johns put that together, did a nice piece of work doing it. We'll move along to report of department heads. Oh, I hate this part. The attorney is up.
What do you mean? All right. We had talked about the CO law. We'll be working on that, get that to committee this month and back to us next month here for our meeting. The sewer ordinance, we're going to get together next week. Unsafe buildings, the reason that, in my opinion, when I talked to Supervisor Grinnell, the reason we get to stall points on these things is the difficulty in the town's own law. It's a self-imposed difficulty with having to go to court, get orders and things like that. And so I sent up a draft, and I talked to Bill and did charge the town. It's been on my radar for years. But I put together a draft law, sent it up to you. I think you should take a look at it. It definitely deletes a lot of the procedural issues that you run into now under your current law. And I think going forward, one of the things to deal with buildings and things like that is to be vigilant when you have a fire or something like that, and act quickly, and not let problems fester. I think, and to the town's credit, you've been cooperative with some property owners, and to use a bad pun, you've been burned over time. Things have dragged on when property owners said we're going to do this and they didn't do it, and so you kind of just have to take action. And I think going forward, that will be the move. We're still going to clean up the prior properties that we're dealing with, and those things. The other thing that's come up just in the last week that wasn't addressed in that law is the cellar hole issue. And then I did, again, some research on my own too. We don't have to allow that. And the question being, in your village, things like that, if a house burns, a single-family resident, the DEC will generally allow them to push it into the hole, meaning drop it, fill it, cap it, and leave it there. What that does to you, though, it's a policy decision for you, maybe committee or something wants to talk about it, but what it does to you is the net effect is it creates a non-buildable lot, because the cost for somebody to go in and remove that cellar hole with all this basically C and D debris that's left in it is pretty high, especially nowadays. So that's something I didn't draft and do anything on, but something to think about going forward there. I did had a good conversation with Bill Ball and on the properties that he's got, and also, he had some concerns on the CO law, how to deal with it, where it should be, things like that. And I told him, I said, you shouldn't feel nervous about calling me. You and I don't have to agree, we don't have to, but we're still going to be cordial. If you've got something, if state code is telling you something, bring it to me.
So just let me understand something. Now, in terms of a violation, he won't write a violation unless he goes through you? Is that?
No, he doesn't have to.
No, but does he? Is everything filtered through you?
No. From my standpoint, I hope not, because I don't get tons and tons of phone calls.
No.
And you don't have to. Certainly, the cost would be exorbitant, as reasonable as I am. But you wouldn't want to do it. He has the process, I know he's going to mark on things to refer them to court, to get the information and the things he needs to get matters on the docket. If he's got a complicated one, yeah, he'll drop you a line. But it's
So I just wonder what the bottleneck is. I'm wondering about, are we reinventing the wheel? Isn't there not a mechanism somewhere, could be considered best practice, that where we wouldn't, I seem to be having a lot of trouble.
I think you've got a big docket.
Okay. A backlog, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
A bit to his defense.
No, it's not being critical.
Yeah, no, I
I'm just understanding
yeah.
where we.
I think there's a lot of things.
Okay.
That'd be my opinion. And to understand it, I think you got to look at all the things that happen, from a building permit to an enforcement. And I mean, what you've got is you've got one individual that oversees zoning and planning and the building code. And Bill's done a good job of that, of separating the two, but dealing with it at the same time, because they're not the same. What may be defined as a dwelling under the building code is not necessarily what's defined as a dwelling under your zoning. And so what he has, and that's frankly, most of the discussions he and I have are interpretations under the zoning. Somebody comes in and says they want to do X, Y, Z. How does this fall under our zoning? I don't know that it does. And how do we deal with that? It might not even be allowed use. And we've dealt with things like that are not holes, but prohibitions in the zoning that perhaps shouldn't be there, and vice versa. Things that are allowed that maybe shouldn't. And so he has to do that and deal with the applications that go to planning, go to zoning, and get those applications complete so they can get to those boards. And then on the flip side, deal with enforcement. So on one hand, you've got people coming in that want to do things, and on the other hand, you've got things that you need to do to people.
In terms of, retention of staff, how many people we've had, at least, 2 part-timers we've had through there since?
Oh, yeah.
And is it the wages? Is it the, what?
I would think that would be a good part of it.
Good part.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and it's getting more. And it's not, aside from your local laws, there's other things. There's code influences and things outside that are coming in. And that's where the applications and things like that are going to make that a ton easier.
I see. Okay.
That was wise money to help that position. We haven't had those. The whole time we talked about it, never wanted to do it. And finally, the town pulled the trigger on doing that. That's going to help him.
So we're going to streamline things a little bit.
And make it a little easier for him.
Good.
Yep. Water project, I think Bill took care of. Highway and DEC, I haven't heard back from DEC. It's a little concerning because we're getting towards the summer here. So it is on my diary for Monday to reach back out to DEC to see where we are, because it's sitting in their desk. I talked about the applications. I haven't gotten any comments back on them yet, so it's probably needs to be pushed. I don't know if it ended up in a committee or I know that
Which application?
for zoning plan and things like that. I know Stu had some comments, but I'll reach out to him. I don't know if he ever sent his comments back to you. He said he was going to. On the site plan.
I believe we have them. I had plans to bring them up to the committees this month and then see them go out, for next month. Hopefully we can get to a point of adoption.
Yeah, and that doesn't take a local law or anything. Those are just resolution of passing. There's no hearings or anything. Those are strictly procedural. Airport fueling, has that been resolved? Who's collecting? That's been on my radar. Who's collecting sales tax?
No.
And the reason, I'll tell you, I spent about 6 hours today on a lawsuit on that very point. Sales tax with an airport. And understanding how it works, how you remit it, and how we collect it. So that's something, if you're going to be pumping fuel, we're going to need to deal with sooner
It's,
rather than later.
as it's been explained to me by Mr. Uliano and Mr. Cummings, is that it is all done electronically. The monies are electronic transfers, the tax computations are part of that software, the deposits are electronic, and the forms and reports are part of the software.
So are we subscribing to a service that's going to file those returns for us?
No, all that information comes to Tanya's desk, is where
Okay.
that is going.
I'd like to,
Huh?
really?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, here's one of the quirks.
And then what?
That needs to be decided, because that's a
Okay.
big,
And then what exactly will be sent to Tanya's desk? A report?
Yeah, it shows the deposits and you can do I personally, sales tax I collect is different than fuel because it goes in several different ways here.
And that's why I was going to keep going and I'll chime in at the end.
Yeah. What are you talking about, how I do it? I have an electronic.
No, I want to know.
My
how
Visa
ours is.
deposits electronically into the bank, and it comes to my account.
Well, here's what I'll tell you.
Okay.
The accounting side is more about what I'm worried about.
Yes.
Because I think right out of the gate, we're going to be monthly with fuel. And then based on the amount, after a year or so, I think they'll revisit it and we might go quarterly or even annually, depending on what we sell.
Is there any interest in someone already operating the thing?
You're talking about paying sales tax
Yes,
monthly?
yes, for fuel.
Okay.
Fuel's very different. Here's one of my concerns, and it's how the tax law works. When we buy fuel, right, so we're gonna buy fuel from a supplier.
Yes.
They're gonna come in, fill our tanks.
Yes.
We pay prepaid sales tax. When you buy fuel like that, we buy it at wholesale, we're selling it at retail. So we pay a prepaid sales tax. That prepaid sales tax is charged per gallon. So it's different in different regions of the state. It's like 0.145%, or 1.145 cents per gallon, okay? So we pay that as a percent. When we then outsell it as a retail, it charges a percentage of sale. So, what's Essex sales tax?
8%.
8. So 8 is what's charged on the total bill going out. 8 at best. Things that we're dealing with. So when we go to submit our returns every month, we get credit for the amount we've already paid, because we've paid it.
Okay.
At the 0.14, whatever it is per gallon. And then we have to remit the amount that we collected at the percentage, because the percentage is generally always it's always going to be higher than the per gallon. And that's the quirk with fuel. So these are little things that I'm going to push you on this, because you need somebody that knows what they're doing. And it varies depending on fuel. What are we going to do out there? We have 100 roulette, or what are we doing?
100 roulette.
That's it?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so that's one of them that you have to deal with this way.
That's the only one we're gonna have.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to be handling funds here?
Oh, yeah. You're gonna have an account that collects, the credit card is fine because it auto deposits.
Yeah.
And so the idea is not a bad one. You'll have a dedicated checking account that money will automatically get deposited in. Most credit card companies do it every night except for Thursday, Friday, they do. So that money will come in. The receipts will need to be checked with those deposits to make sure what we sold actually was deposited. And then, at least I think out of the gate monthly, we have to file those tax returns with the state.
Okay, I'm going to go back this way. Who makes the software that we're going to be using? And where can we get our hands on it to preview it?
That, our engineer company has all that, so I can have them do that.
We need that.
Yeah.
My concern is just that they know how to, I'm sure they know how to do it, which is good. It'll be automated. It's just, it can get very expensive quickly.
Yeah.
If it's wrong.
Yeah.
You've got to get it right out of the
These are
gate.
percentages that have to be done correctly, is what he's saying. Once you get the percentages in place, it's the same thing every month, right?
And then knowing how to report it.
And yeah, okay.
And as far as upfront the money for the gas, are we gonna, that's not budgeted, right? Or am I wrong? Is it coming in the grant, the money to fill the tank or buy the
No.
gas?
No, that's not coming in the grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big is that?
Transfer. Yeah.
How big is the tank?
8,000, but we don't have to take 8,000.
You get your margin in.
What we're gonna do is work with Lake Placid and you have to take an 8,000 drop, so we'll do 4 and 4, or however we wanna do it, however we need to do it.
That's a cash flow issue for you guys.
Yeah.
I just want to.
Yeah.
But that money is available
Well,
for the fuel.
that one, fuel for everything in this town right now comes out of buildings and grounds, does it not? For every single building, every single car, every single truck that belongs to the town of Ticonderoga,
And they bill it back,
and they bill it back.
out of general, yes.
So I have that. Yes. Go
Gas
ahead.
and diesel comes out of the highway budget, and then it gets reimbursed back to highway.
Yes.
But fuel, yes, comes out of this budget, your building's budget.
Mhm.
They pay me to test the pump.
That's
I
what
have
we
to
do
test the
now.
pump.
We ought to do that for free.
Can, well, you take it up with your friends up there, maybe.
All right, well, I mean,
We'll make sure this is
beating that, but
We're gonna
that,
have to get together on this and make sure this is set up correctly. I agree.
So that's a good idea with the software. They usually
Yes.
will send you a version of that that you can,
We've
It'll
done-
have it all, it will do it, once we tell them what our percentage is here and figure all that out, it will be done automatically.
Well, I'd like to dry run that a few
Okay.
times
Yeah.
to see how much work, how many hours are involved, and the procedures for doing it, and
And adding whoever's gonna be handling cash to your risk management or
not a lot.
Well, there's
your
not gonna be any cash. It's gonna
indemnification
be all
policy.
credit card.
yeah.
Tanya's covered. Who else is on that, Tanya?
I didn't hear you, I was listening.
In terms of
to this.
indemnification for people handling cash, you have to be added to
The clerks in this building are.
the clerks are, but
You're bonding, yeah.
you're bonding. But whoever's gonna handle the money would have to.
There ain't gonna be any money, right? As far as I know, it's just credit card only.
Yeah, this is credit card only.
I shouldn't say money, no cash. So keep that on your radar. I see it sneaking up on you now.
Okay.
Those first returns are deadly if you miss them. You don't want to get whacked with fines.
Yeah, and I have absolutely no clue, so I do not feel comfortable with that just coming in.
well,
To my
is there
office
anything
here.
that says Tanya has to, that the
No.
town clerk has to do it?
No.
Because maybe it's better that Carla and Amy do it.
Well, Mike is the airport manager, right? Mike Parent? Mike is the airport.
Yeah, right, okay, there we go.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, it's either that or we'll send it to the landfill and let them do it. Jesus Lord. Somebody help me.
Sorry.
I'll step in for
I'm Dave, I'm sorry, but throw you a lifeline.
Yeah.
What can we do? Where's the lifeline? Throw the lifeline.
I will certainly walk in front of that. There's no way that's, no offense.
I'm sorry, Dave.
I'm not doing sales tax.
What else have you got for good news?
Water and sewer, the draft speeds permit is out to DEC. I put it in here somewhat comically, they have until the 17th to respond, but we'll take your time, DEC, we're here when you.
Really, April, that was a real date? I thought it was a...
Well, it's, they have a real dates on that side? Sure. Put it this way, we're not going to be filing an Article 78 to compel them to get back to us. Anyway. We talked about this at Water Sewer. One of the things that's come up is parcel combinations. I touched on it a little bit last month. When people or parcels just get combined, we're missing data. We're missing data and we're missing budgeting, correct budgeting on those pieces.
We have separated just about all of that.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
And then going forward, we're going to have a process to make sure that it gets a committee approval on source. And we talk about if you have a parcel that's in water or sewer in district and you're combining, you guys are going to want to know that in terms of EDUs.
Well, the assessor has been performing that function, and the assessor no longer does.
Problem solved. Service contract, I sent that draft up, I included it in the report for out-of-district users. Is that going back to committee, or is it ready to be approved now?
I'm not sure.
I just jotted it down.
I know
because I couldn't recall.
we did discuss it, but I can't remember the decision that was made.
Yeah, I didn't see a resolution approving it, so we'll get that done at this month's meeting too.
All right.
We did a new out-of-district user agreement to take care of some holes, so. And I, just as a side, on the GIGP, I looked at those contracts they sent us. This is 10 times better.
Yes.
We'll be in good shape.
Yes. That's, well, I didn't bring that up in public, but the town has been in negotiation with CP Rail for quite some time to try and secure the old railway right-of-way that runs from Champlain Avenue out to Route 22. And we were finally successful in completing those negotiations for that purchase. And, that also ties into our grant project from the GIGP grant, and the cost of that property will pretty much cover our percentage that we have to pay on that grant. And it gives us an access way without, excuse me, without having to gain any easements or anything across properties coming down through by taking that old right-of-way. We can turn that into our construction zone to bring the piping and the water all down, all the way from Champlain Avenue. We can pick up all that storm water all the way to Cossie Street and then take it down across the park into the river. And we take all of that out of our sewer system.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief Johns?
I think I've all set this one, sir.
Excellent. And our clerk?
We discussed at the Parks meeting the waiving of the peddler's fee for the car show this year still, as we work on trying to figure out what we're going to accomplish with setting fees and a few things in parks and peddlers. So I need a resolution to waive the peddler's permit fee for the annual car show. Do you guys want to do that?
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion?
We talked about changing the policy or changing the fee. How was that left?
But we're going to talk about it a little more, because a couple of folks that put on these things had some pretty good thoughts on this. So we definitely need to get everybody involved when we go through this, because, what's a 4th of July worth to the community? What's car show worth to the community? So, that's where they're coming from. How hard do you make this where it becomes?
The chamber requested this,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, and they're waiting for a response. Short term, it has been the policy to waive the fee.
Yes.
And we're going to continue that for one more year.
Can we track the costs in terms of what it costs us to clean up and whatnot, or have we done that already? We've done that already.
We know that.
Yeah, we know that.
Okay.
We know that. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I need a resolution to accept the satisfactory findings for the 2013 core audit that was conducted on the 30th of April.
Who moved that?
Motion and second? Second. By Chatty. Any discussion?
Who did the audit?
Wait a minute.
For you, it's like a fine tooth comb.
Got it.
She's very, really good.
Any further discussion?
Does a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, any questions about it? It's very interesting to see the time limits, how everything is done.
Well, Mr. Juliano has all this curiosity. I think he should be able to. I think he should be able to get right into it next year.
I think
that's two previous years. Thank you.
Appoint him to that job, David.
Any further discussion?
No.
Do we want to make that appointment tonight?
No, we don't want to do that, no.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Bill, that money for the land from CP Rail, that's going to come out of sewer? Or do we know where it's coming from yet?
The original discussion was that it would come out of general for initial, and then probably tie back to sewer at some point in
Get
time.
reimbursed back?
Yeah.
No. Gone. Gone. Everything gone.
The library would like to surplus an HP printer LaserJet 4050, so I can get that on the surplus list.
Okay. We need a resolution?
I'll make that resolution.
Motion by Fred, do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Are they buying a new one?
This is an obsolete one. She gave this to me back in February. I just never got it in front of the board.
On town cleanup day, there's going to be a truck behind Rite Aid that'll take electronics for recycling, so she can get rid of it that way.
Are they buying another one?
They are looking into that. Yes.
If I'm paying for it, I'd
Because
like
right
to know.
now they have three different, they have a printer, they have a fax, and they have a scanner. There's three different machines. Right now they're looking at it all in one, which will save them a tremendous amount on toner and ink and all that stuff.
Space.
This just came up.
We have a motion on the floor.
Let's see.
Any further discussion?
Don't ask me questions.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I love it.
Thank you.
And it's 6 o'clock.
You're on my turn.
A building permit was issued by Bill, and come to find out there's some, he has found out certain restrictions on the area that the building permit was issued to. So we collected $230 from a Tim Benedict, and I don't know if you would like to do a prepay to pay him back that money, because it needs to get back to him. We have to retract that building permit.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And the last one is the interfund transfers that Sue just gave you tonight. Do you want to do them? Or do you want me to run through them?
Go ahead.
Interfund advances to be adopted for abstract 5, from general to CP Thai Airport, $8,655.04, and be reimbursed with grant monies. From general to Park Avenue Sewer, $5,904.18, to be reimbursed with rents. General to Commerce Park Sewer, $1,230.04, to be reimbursed with rents. From general to 973 Water District, $3,050.73, to be reimbursed with rents. And from general to Park Avenue Water District, $1,326.09, and they will be reimbursed with rents also.
Entertain a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The only last thing I had was the Pride fundraiser each.
Okay. We had a discussion in a couple of different meetings and events that we've had. There is right now, our use of facilities, the parks and beach and whatnot, any alcohol is prohibited. Being that we've moved into the 21st century and are looking for sources of revenue, there's been a lot of discussion that we may want to change that policy and get the booze out of the back seats of the cars and the coolers and whatnot, and actually invite a licensed agent, caterer, whatever, to sell alcohol at specific events, the car show, the Pride uses the beach for a fundraiser, similar events such as that, and charge a percentage of their net as the fee. It's not as if there isn't a good deal of drinking that goes on at the events that we would consider doing this at. And it's very uncontrolled in the way it's being handled at the present time. We think if we do it in a more defined setting, rather than have people walking all over the park on the 4th of July with a beer in their hand, over there is the beer truck. That's the area where you go and drink. If you want to go and drink, take it over there. And that would be a better situation than what we have at the present time. Plus, it could generate a significant amount of revenue from those occasions. And I'd like to put that out in front of the board. If that's a consideration to change that policy, we would need to go with Mr. Fuller, get together with him to design the specifics of what the event holder would have to present as far as documentation that they were a legitimate caterer, had a legitimate license to conduct that type of event. But provided they have the necessary documentation in place, do we want to allow that to happen?
Would the 4th of July committee be the ones operating the concession or doing the, or would it be the town?
I wouldn't think so. Now, you want to address that?
Sure. I think this question was posed to me, so I've had some time to think about it. And what we'd have to define in our policy, because it would be a change to our policy, is who, what, when, and where. Who would be allowed to do this? What would they be allowed to serve? What times and what parts of our facilities? Okay? So you may not open it to every facility. Maybe just the beach, just the park, however you're going to define it.
Right now, we already haven't allowed it as a use in the armory, but they are scrutinized and have to have the specific.
So that comes with the who part. You know, obviously they have to have a liquor license, they have to be licensed. They have to have dram shop liability, liquor liability, insurance, and the town would have to be an additional insured. That's the minimum. And we would also want to run it by NYMER too, to make sure that we don't have any insurance exclusions for any of this. I suspect, okay, we probably don't, it should be okay, but to make sure we have coverage gaps there too. And I think, you know, one of the difficult things we talked about the facility earlier, it's going to be the insurance coverage. Because depending on the event, the numbers of people, you know, you're looking at 1 to 3 million limits, and they may be a little higher if the numbers get bigger. You know, if you get into the couple hundred, you're probably going to stagger that. So you're going to say if it's under X people, here's the limit, and if it's over, you know, it's Y limit. And how are they going to police it? So there is a little bit of work to go into allowing it. But, you know, is it something that would, you know, not on my advice to? No, I think you could do it if you want. It's just going to have to be done the right way, as Bill said.
So how do you proceed? It would seem like an event like the car show, which is, you know, shorter period of time and not as attendees would be a whole lot different from the 4th of July. You have hundreds of people and it's over a 3 or 4 day period.
But I think,
And a little something at the beach would be the opposite end of the spectrum. I don't know how you, I guess we'd have to talk about.
Yeah, I think the actual legal requirements would be the same for any of them.
but we'd request proposals for someone to come in and do this?
Oh, that'd be on that.
No, I'd be on the event organizer.
Oh, okay, that's a good question.
That's a
They'll
good
still
question.
fill out the form.
Absolutely.
It's their
Yeah, okay,
responsibility,
okay.
and these are
It'd almost be a
required.
liquor record. Well, and that'd be the part of the what, is Is it just wine and beer? Is it wine, beer, and liquor? You can get into that, but we wouldn't get into actually procuring for them or how they do it. They would come to us just like that. It would be a rider to your facility's use. Here's what you got to supply, just to get through the gate.
Well, and how would we, if we were going to say, well, you give us 5% of your proceeds or something, how would we even be able to verify that?
That's one thing we'll have a further discussion on. I'll hold comment on that for now. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
So that's similar to what they did at the county, as far as...
Very similar to what just took place at the county for the fair. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's the future. You want to continue to have events and have people attend and, try to stimulate the economy as much as you can.
Well,
And control the atmosphere too.
Right.
I mean, let's face it, Chief Johns is here. Do your people at this point in time have the ability to control alcohol use in the park on the 4th of July?
Is that really a question you want to ask in front of that camera? Holy cow. Is it okay to steal cars 3 o'clock in the morning on Sundays? I mean, gee, you really want to ask the question?
Well, yes, as long as they're not mine, because I'm always well armed, but that's beside the point. I stand corrected.
I don't think I'd throw that one out. I'm sorry, Bill. I don't think I'd throw that one out there.
No, but it's just, it's difficult, and I saw that question, I saw that question posed to Sheriff Cutting, and I figured if he stepped up, we'd be on things pretty sorry.
Every board that I've served on has squirmed under the exact same question about once a year or twice a year.
I don't know, it's
With everything going on, it's very hard. You would have to have a bunch of officers roaming all the time in there. And they'd be called out here and there on other issues and this and that, and the first thing you know, no, they can't do it.
That wouldn't be anything we do. We wouldn't get policing it, we wouldn't, that'd be on the license.
That wouldn't be.
Right.
But my point is that we're all aware that there's plenty of alcohol in areas that it's supposedly prohibited in. Because when you put 5,000 people down there with a police force the size of Ticonderoga, obviously if somebody wants to sneak a beer in, okay, it's gonna happen. Let's get it controlled, let's get it contained, and let's address it.
But
I didn't.
And if we can bring some revenue into the town coffers doing that, let's do it. That's where I'm coming from.
I didn't mean after this is approved. What I meant was before, right now, the way it has been. It's...
So can I interject just my 2 cents?
Certainly.
If you can resolve to allow it and you put all of those hurdles in place, and really the reality of anybody doing that, that's their problem, the insurance and all that stuff. We're then covered. There aren't going to be many of these small events that are going to do that.
But as far as the concession people are selling the stuff, so what are we going to do? Aggressively enforce the open container, or people drinking out of coolers or having coolers? Or?
That's why they have a hub.
Okay.
They got their
No.
beer tent, but that's something that you have to regulate too then, if there's...
I think what you're going to find, Tony, is that it's not going to be the one event people.
Right.
They're going to hire a caterer. Because the caterer spreads that cost.
But the fairgrounds, you pass through a gate, you go through the fairgrounds, you don't get on the grounds with a cooler, or, you're going to have to, anything you drink, you have to buy at the concession, where we're open shop here. I mean, I don't know, it's interesting. What committee's going to be working on this? Parks? Is that?
I think cable TV of the library.
To the Matter Highway.
Yeah, that would liven it up, for sure.
Does anyone have anything that they would like to bring before the board tonight from the public? What? I'm sorry.
We have this use of facility here in open, and she's already made advertisements, so we have to tell her yes or no. And technically, she's not, this is a price per meal, which includes a drink. So this is a whole different scenario.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Price per meal includes a drink, means you're paying for a drink.
I know, but I know that. She's not, it's different because she's not hiring a caterer. She wants to just include this in the meal.
Well, I don't believe the board can approve that situation.
It'd be like,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
I don't believe the board can approve that situation.
That's what I need from you guys.
Don't shoot the messenger, but if they don't have a liquor license,
Mhm.
I don't know if we can approve it.
No,
And
we're putting,
No offense to the event, it'd probably be a great event, I'd probably go myself.
We're-
I was up here, but.
It is a nice event.
It is.
but we're putting the town at significant risk.
So you can approve this and it, just to say absolutely no alcohol will be involved until you guys get this straightened out.
We could approve it with the exclusion of alcohol, and if she chooses to not have the event there, then that's.
And that gives her
That's-
the option to go
we can't-
someplace else. So those are your guidelines. You can have it here, but there's absolutely no alcohol.
That would be our position.
Is that what you guys agree on? I mean, you don't really need a whole lot.
We almost have
already
to.
have no alcohol.
We have that policy in effect, so I don't think we need to do.
Until it's changed.
Until the policy changes, we can't allow it to be here.
Right.
And believe it or not, getting a single event liquor license
Yes.
isn't like moving. like
It's not
earth.
hard to do.
Just money.
It's actually,
It's the insurance that'll cost you, not that,
Yes.
not that.
I mean, if there's any backlash from it, you know, feel free to head them in my direction, and I'll send them to Matt.
Yeah, you
Well, I'll
gotta
have you
give 15
sign
days.
it. I'll have you sign it with the notations. Okay, that's, all
And I'll put his phone number on the bottom of that.
I don't know.
right, that's the one I have. So we will still have to discuss the whole alcohol thing, because it really wasn't decided too much.
Right,
No,
so,
we've
but
got it.
that was a good question. Somebody asked who was going to take that as their assignment.
Well, it's part of the use of facilities, which is part of buildings and grounds.
I don't think that's a good answer.
Quite honestly, I know a lot about this. I do off-premises liquor permits all the time.
And I think you'd be the ideal candidate for
The
it.
Alcohol Beverage Board has a legal department. If you pick up the phone, they're great to work with. So between Matt and them, we probably can get a lot of really good advice. Hague has done this. I can talk to Edna and see how they do their Oktoberfest. We
Yeah,
bring the
that's a
beer
big
truck. So we've got some resources, but I can go back to buildings and grounds. We can handle that.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
He's
It's
passing.
the COO I can't figure out.
Now, do we have anything else the public would like to bring forward at this time?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On these gas pumps up at the airport,
Yes.
are these going to be manned by somebody, or is it going to be a self-serve situation?
Self-serve, Joe.
Okay, and what are you going to do without spillage and anything else they do up there?
They are put on an apron that drains into a contained drain. Where the airplane sits, it will go into a contained drain, and it will be monitored by our person that's up there. Every day that just works on his plane, it's at the airport. We have a person up there all the time, who checks on that stuff. But that's designed into it, a drain that is secure.
Okay, now these, and getting back to that, are they open 24 hours, or is it certain times of the day?
It's a 24-hour pump. It's lit, and yeah, it's 24 hours. It's strictly credit card.
Groundwater from the pump to the plane.
And there's more and more of these around now, Chuck. There's
Yeah, I've seen
flat
that.
stalls, yeah, there's a lot of them around now. That's the way it's going.
yeah. Most gas stations, you can pull up in the middle of the night now.
Yeah.
Well, I was under, what I was understood is that if you have a 24-hour pump, you're going to have somebody there to monitor.
An attendant.
Not normal.
No, they can go off by themselves. You don't have to take anybody with.
That's what Jay said, the same thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, they pushed it on me forever.
There's a number of them
You
around
were
me right
serving
now.
gas,
Yeah.
and you were not on site,
Newcomb.
and now it's big.
Yeah. well,
So maybe they changed the law, just want to be sure.
I'll make sure. I will find that out, Chuck. Do you file all these taxes he's talking about?
Yeah.
Not a problem, you can,
Well, what you do is you take your other percentage, but also like on some of the deals, they pay you a percentage for collecting it.
They do.
yeah.
Yeah. and
That's
they
part of your
probably
credit.
have, I forgot what the name of it is, like that.
Not as much as the effort, I'll tell you.
And not as much as they get out of here either. So, but yeah, it's a nightmare.
Thanks, Chuck.
Anyone have anything else? That being the case, I do. We inherited a situation, there was a deal struck by some, I don't know who exactly yet, I haven't got all that tracked down, where the town acquired almost 9/10 of an acre across from the ARC building, going up to the Real House, and then back towards the college campus. They secured that piece of land for a parking area, and they agreed to a purchase price with a sidewalk for the college. The college wants their sidewalk. We don't have much money to provide them a sidewalk, but we have an obligation because of the arrangements that we made to secure the property. I believe
It was an exchange of for off-street parking up here to service, to get these people off the street for the winter, and that was the whole idea. We had, I think, 25 parking places that they deeded over to us, the ARC.
well, the drawings I have include 6.
6?
Yeah.
Okay.
The highway superintendent has indicated he'd like to see 20. And thankfully, Mr. Reel indicated he'd like the slope. Being that he holds sway with a local construction company that he owns, he would trade a given amount of work on our parking lot for the slope that runs up to very close to his existing property line.
Bill, there's a whole nest of water lines that come right in that corner. Have they talked about that at all? As far as right down in that corner, right up Cannonball Path, there was a bunch of stuff that would have had to be moved. I haven't seen the prints or nothing, so we'll talk about it. I'll talk to Tracy about it.
I haven't, I'm not aware of that. I am aware of a bunch of electric lines that run over through there, but we haven't gone far enough to get into the rest of it. But it will be obviously it'll be a dig safe proposition, before they do any work. But we did luck out that Mr. Reel stepped up and declared his interest in that property, and I wanted the board to be aware of it.
Mike had said something about using millings to do this walk too, as opposed to concrete. Is it specified in the
Well,
spec?
he may want that to happen, but I don't think the college does.
Okay.
I think the college expects a concrete sidewalk.
Okay.
And I think that's what's shown in the paperwork that goes along with that agreement.
The agreement just said pathway.
Yes. We have,
I have it in my office.
Yeah,
It
it
says
doesn't say-
pathway.
I'll talk to you. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we need to visit.
So I need to discuss that in greater detail, but that's, if there is nothing else, yes.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but since you're talking about a concrete sidewalk, a couple of years ago, I think I brought up the question of possibly the town establishing a special taxing district for folks that have sidewalks. Many, many people living in the town, myself included, don't have a sidewalk. I don't want one. But obviously, many people already have them, and they want to see them kept in reasonably good condition, which from what I've seen, the town does try to do a good job of doing, repairing them as needed. Well, the problem is, if you're asking everybody to collectively pay for that, it's benefiting primarily those who have the sidewalk, or in this case, maybe want one. I would only suggest that you think about that as a possibility, having a special taxing district of those folks that have sidewalks for the maintenance of those sidewalks, including snow plowing and repair as needed. Now, that doesn't address the problem you just brought up, of course, but who's going to pay for the initial installation in that case. But the fact that you brought it up, I thought I'll re-raise that question.
As someone else who lives in a town in an area that does not have sidewalks, I wholly agree with you, and I've brought that forward already a couple of times, and rest assured I will continue to bring it forward.
It's Richard Ray, by the way. Do you know Richard? I do not. Okay.
Yes.
Well, we've been trying to identify ourselves for the public. Sorry. The camera, so the folks know.
I'm Richard Ray.
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't seen you in 7 months.
Yeah.
One thing to add to that, I'm not 100% sure about, but I understand like Alexandria, that a painted line is considered a sidewalk.
Yes.
It was at one point in time.
I think that needs some work too. I mean, if you're gonna pay for a sidewalk, you want more than a painted line.
That was agreed to by the people that lived there, and the road was expanded to accommodate the extra paved width. That was a whole bee's nest in itself a long time ago.
Yeah.
I did call Dick Holroyd too, folks, by the way.
How is he?
He's doing well. He's feeling well. He's on the mend.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. Dick called me, and we had a nice conversation. He told me what I was doing wrong and doing too slow, and I can't wait until he gets back.
Yeah.
We miss you.
He's feeling better.
Yeah.
Let's take spot on the way up there.
We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have one thing that I really need to discuss in executive.
Just like go.
You knew about it and said to bring it tonight.
We need a reason to go into executive?
Yeah.
Is it personnel?
It's not personnel.
Yes.
Need legal advice?
It's,
If it's just legal advice, you can adjourn the public portion of the meeting. Because there's no, if you need advice, it's not.
Can it affect anybody's
no, it's,
future,
yes,
present, future
Yes.
employment?
yes.
Okay.
Not employment for the town, but it can affect somebody's future.
Employment prospects.
Yes.
Okay, I think it's
She's hard to help.
I know. Well, I kind of thought he was going to bring it, but
He didn't know how to word it, so.
he forgot about it.
I let you.
And I want Mark to stay.
Yes, please.
Is it ringing a bell now?
Yes.
I move we adjourn to executive session and discuss personnel.
Discuss the personnel issue?
Maybe it's a personal.
Personnel.
Personal issue.
Personal.
Are we adjourned? Are we adjourned?
All right.
All